Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to tonight's session, our next instalment of our Facebook Lives. We are joined tonight by Claire, who's going to introduce herself in a second, and we're going to be talking about the updates that happened to the Part L building regulations in June, I think they were, and Claire's going to give us a bit of an overview. But first of all, let's introduce Claire.
Hi Claire, a couple of Claires here this evening. It's always very exciting. You can address your question to Claire, and if it's too difficult, I'll pretend it was for the other Claire. So hi everyone, I'm Claire, I'm from 𝗵𝗲𝗺𝗃. We are energy policy experts, and so we work very closely with Drayton to help the organisation understand what's happening in energy policy and also to shape energy policy as well.
Brilliant. So the first main question, obviously, what is Part L and what's the purpose of the uplift and the changes that have happened?
Yeah, sure. So Part L is a part of the building regulations that looks at the energy performance of buildings, particularly, well, entirely in England, so it's just applicable to England. And this sort of new uplift has come into play. It was actually the 15th of June that it went live, which is very exciting. And the aim of this is to improve the carbon performance of new and existing buildings, including homes, through implementing high energy efficiency standards. So this is almost like a little bit of an interim uplift to sort of bridge the gap between where we are now and the sort of future home standard that's coming in 2025.
Okay, brilliant. And obviously the thing that's important to the guys and girls is what are the main changes that have come in?
Yeah, sure. So what's basically happened is that all new homes now have to produce 31% less carbon emissions than the 2013 standards. There's a couple of other sort of specifics that have been brought in. So there's been a change to the thermal elements, the U values that are required of certain elements, whether that's walls, windows, floors, roofs, those kinds of things. The U values have changed. There's also been a change in terms of so in new buildings when heating systems are installed, the flow temperature cannot be any more than 55 degrees. And when existing heating systems are replaced in their entirety, then that flow system again has to be no more than 55 degrees. This is because 55 degrees is this kind of flow temperature that's appropriate for heat pumps. And one of the aims of this policy is to try and encourage more heat pump installations. A couple of other sort of things that have come in. So wastewater heating recovery is now necessary for showers. And there's some sort of regulations that have come in around PV installations, how much PV needs to go in. But essentially, the PV regs have been set, so it's trying to encourage the installation of ground source heat pumps, which would allow you to build a house without having PV. So it gives you a little bit of more flexibility as well on the specified U values as well. So I think that's probably a sort of overview of the main changes that have come in under Part L.
Okay, cool. Did you mention TRVs?
Yeah, so TRVs are mandatory in all new buildings, and also with sort of boiler retrofits as well. You know, that's a really important thing, and that's where, you know, products like 𝗺𝗺𝗺𝗺𝗺 and some of the Drayton products can be really helpful for helping to meet those Part L regulations.
Absolutely, and we've done quite a bit on the group about balancing. We've done a few sessions about it. Is it do they have to do it? Is it a best practice, or is it something that it's optional? What's the standard?
Yeah. So balancing is included within benchmark, which is the sort of industry standard, which is basically best practice for boiler installations. And that's essentially means that if you want your warranty to be valid, then you need to balance the system. So that's one area where it's included. Another is probably going to be included in the next round of Boiler Plus updates. So that's another area where it will start to come in. So we'll definitely see essentially all systems should be balanced. But I guess there's some ambiguity a little bit in the building regulations as they are at the moment.
Okay, and obviously everybody, we've talked a couple of weeks ago about our auto balancing valves, which make the job of balancing much easier, and it's a bit of a no-brainer, and you can get those on our 9 Degree Network just as a little bit of a promo if you're a 9 Degree Network member. So if you're not, join up today. So about the uplifts and the changes, how does this fit in with the wider strategy, or the government's wider strategy on heating and heat in homes?
Yeah, so I think, it's sort of widely recognised that decarbonising homes is one of the hardest parts of trying to meet net zero. So the government's trying to introduce a whole sort of raft of measures to try and decarbonise homes. I would say that this Part L fits in quite nicely with the government's heat pump strategy. So they are targeting 600,000 heat pump installations per year by 2028. And these regulations will try and encourage the deployment of heat pumps, particularly in new build homes, where the energy efficiency is typically higher and they're more suitable for heat pumps. In the sort of retrofit space, that indication that we're moving towards lower flow temperatures will mean that, when new heating systems are installed, they will be more suited to heat pumps. So I would say in the retrofit area, it shows sort of a direction of travel towards lower flow temperatures and trying to make homes ready for heat pumps.
Yeah, absolutely. And a popular topic whenever we've talked about this sort of stuff before, but what's the sort of setup with hydrogen? Where's that going and what does that look like?
Yeah, so hydrogen is another one of the key decarbonisation methods that we have on the table for homes. There's been a lot of movement that's happened in the last couple of years on this. So all the major boiler OEMs now have hydrogen-ready boilers at some sort of level of development. They've also all now committed that those hydrogen-ready boilers will be sold at the same price as a natural gas boiler. So the first boilers have now been installed in a couple of show homes up in the northeast, which are currently unoccupied, but basically show that it can be done technically and safely. If you haven't been up there yet, it's incredibly boring. They're just some boilers on the wall. The cooker burns orange rather than blue, but that's pretty much the only way you'd be able to tell it was a different gas burning. And then next year, there's a hydrogen neighbourhood trial that's going to go live, which will be the first time that hydrogen, zero carbon hydrogen has been used to deliver cooking and heating in occupied homes. So that's going to be connected to a wind farm up in Scotland. And then we've just sort of started the first sort of feasibility work on hydrogen villages. So one in sort of Cadence patch in the northwest, and then one in Northern Gas Networks patch in the northeast. So those will go live, or one of those will go live in 2025. And then we'll finally take a decision on hydrogen heat in 2026. So a lot of activity in that space at the moment, and there's lots of reasons why hydrogen alongside heat pumps makes a lot of sense.
Okay, great. So obviously taking it back to our products, and how does 𝗺𝗲𝗃 help the installers meet Part L?
So 𝗺𝗲𝗃 is really great. It can help meet the regulations in a couple of ways. One of the things that's happened when these Part L regulations has come in is there's been a new version of SAP that's been published, SAP 10.2, and 𝗺𝗲𝗃 is in there as a smart device, which means it gives you an extra uplift within SAP, which will help meet Part L regulations. So on new builds, 𝗺𝗲𝗃 will deliver greater energy performance than it previously did under the old regulations, which is really great. Not that the energy savings are any different, they're just being recognised. And certainly also with any kind of boiler retrofit, 𝗺𝗲𝗃 is one of the ways that you can meet the boiler regulations as one of the sort of additional measures. It's eligible as a smart thermostat product. So yeah, really great way of delivering on those regulations for customers.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously also there's the multi-zoning, isn't there, with the individual, the TRV mandation obviously also applies to the individual thermostatic controls in each room with the...
It's a way of killing a lot of birds with one stone.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that's the nuts and bolts of it, Claire, isn't it, really? I don't know if there's anything else you want to add in terms of anything else that's really pertinent to our audience or anything like that. If anyone's got any questions, please put them in the comments on the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. But it's a bit quiet out there, so I'm kind of guessing that there's we've not got that many people on, but
I've explained it so well, Claire. There's no questions.
Because you've done such a great job of explaining, there's no question because it's been so succinct. But I think this is possibly a record for the shortest live we've done.
Okay.
But if you've got nothing else to add, then we're probably at the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anyone's got sort of questions that they think about afterwards, just pop them in the Facebook group, and Claire will send them over to me, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're watching on catch up and you've got any questions, then do fire them over to us, and we'll get some expert advice and responses from Claire at GemServe or any of our other colleagues that might be able to help. So thank you, Claire, for your time, and thanks for explaining it. Thanks for explaining everything, and I'm sure we'll see you again, and we'll probably get you back on when the 𝗵𝗲𝗁 stuff happens.
Absolutely.
We have had one comment that I'm just going to show. Hydrogen is the future.
I would agree that hydrogen is a big part of the future. I think we're going to need some heat pumps as well, but certainly hydrogen can pull a lot of weight as well. Very important.
So thanks for that, Joe. I just saw that's Joe McKinley. But if no one's got anything else to say or ask us, then do stay tuned for any future sessions that we do. We've got loads of stuff coming up as we get nearer to the heating season, and loads of interesting and helpful information for you. So we will see you next time. Thanks ever so much, Claire.
No worries.
And see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.